We are recording. Yes. Hi, everyone, and welcome to yet another session of How About Marketing's webinars. How About Marketing is a marketing hub, a resource for small to medium-sized business owners, marketing-savvy business owners, um, people from agencies, digital marketers, SEOs, to enhance their marketing game, as I like to say. We're doing this series of webinars each last Thursday of each month. So make sure you join our newsletter to find out when the next one will be, who the guest is, and watch previous recordings as well. The newsletter, you ask? Well, if you go to howboatmarketing.com, you haven't subscribed yet, please go there and do so. Also, you'll find some links there to our social media channel profiles, Facebook, Instagram, and so on. Follow, like, comment, and share to help us grow. We're still at the beginning, but yet it's the fourth webinar from the series that I plan to host moving forward. And I have the pleasure and privilege to introduce today's guest, which will speak on today's topic, content marketing, Joachim. Before that, I just want to make a small introduction for the topic and also make a side note about SEO. My background is in SEO. SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization, and I like to call it recently search experience optimization. Is basically the magic behind your website, your web property, not just the website, but the Google listing, Google business profile, and so on, show up at the top of the search results. So that's SEO. SEO consists of three. You can look at SEO as in three-legged stool, not all legs being equal, but one of them is technical and UX. The other one is links and backlinks. And arguably the first one would be content. Content is king and queen at the same time. And that's one of the things that will be covering in today's session. So without further ado, I am going to pass the virtual microphone to our guest, Joachim. I'll let him introduce himself and start the presentation.
Cool. Thank you, Emanuel. Topic today, content marketing, how to make it work and how to generate leads. The topic is really meant to be, the whole session is meant to be as interactive as we can make it. You guys can ask questions. I'm not sure if you can speak, but you can definitely ask questions in the chat there at the bottom right. And if I don't see him, Emanuel will pick them up and we can try to answer them as good as we can. Let me say a couple of words in terms of who am I? Joachim Koch, been doing growth marketing since about 2014 as an agency, Aspiration Marketing. We have resources in the US, in Canada, in Romania, and in Germany. And we've been predominantly working what's called inbound marketing, very related to content marketing. I'll explain both in a second. For mid-sized, for small companies, for startups, help startups grow. We've been doing this as agency, as Aspiration Marketing, and we're also, that came over time, a partner of Hubspot, one of the leading platforms in terms of CRM, in terms of content management system, in terms of marketing automation, where we're an accredited Hubspot partner and have certified trainers on the team. So in case you are in desire of understanding a little bit more about some of the tools to do content marketing, super happy to help and point you in a good direction. So in terms of agenda items, so all about content marketing, all about inbound marketing. I don't have a 27 page PowerPoint here, but I have a couple of headlines, and we can deviate from those and dive deep where needed, and just gloss over where certain things might be common knowledge. But we're basically looking at content marketing, inbound marketing. Why? What is it? What does it do? How does it work with AI? Is AI helping? Is AI threatening content marketing? Do you still have to do AI content marketing without the AI? What does good content marketing look like? What are topic clusters? And what is this Google EEAT thing, other than a 176-page PDF file that you can read? And then how do you get results? What are some of the results you can get? How do you measure? And what does good look like? And last not least, how do we actually get started? How do you get started, either as an individual, as a small company, as a larger company? We can cover many of those topics. All right. And order of magnitude, I would think we can go through this in about half an hour. I'm trying to switch between presentation, and where we can, we might be able to do some live screen shares on things. But again, the idea is make it interactive, make it relevant for you, so that you can actually get something out of it. All right. Okay, cool. So this is building up here. So let's talk about content marketing. Why does it work? How does it work? What are some alternatives? And put this in perspective. So content marketing, right, is basically looking to market, to give yourself, your company, visibility with content. Content can be text, content can be audio, content can be video. This, what we're doing here, webinar, is a form of content marketing, because we're trying to convey knowledge, subject matter expertise on a certain topic, make it relevant, and by doing so, promote the subject of content marketing. All right. So content is not only, while it's still a very predominant form of it, content marketing is not all text-based, right? But let's talk about content marketing. Let's talk about inbound marketing. Inbound marketing is a slightly bigger term. Inbound marketing is the umbrella under which content marketing sits, under which organic social media marketing sits, under which email marketing sits, under which blogging, webinars sits. Inbound marketing is ultimately the methodology that looks to attract individuals, your target buyer persona, your target audience that you're looking to market to, that you're looking to sell to, that you're looking to educate, that you're looking to convince. Inbound marketing is looking to attract that audience, in most cases to your website or to a social media platform, but predominantly for the purposes of our webinar here, looks to attract individuals to your website, looks to convert those individuals from anonymous dots and spikes in Google Analytics to contacts in your database, where you offer a subscription to a newsletter, where you offer a download of a white paper, where you offer a sign up for something, and in exchange, you're giving that person who gives you their email address, you give that person something of value, some education, some further information in form of gated content, or add value in other forms. But basically, the again, purpose of inbound marketing in the old days, before computers, before internet, a good consultant said, you need to create pull for your services. Stop pushing, stop selling, stop telling people we're the biggest and best since sliced bread. Why sliced bread is so good, who knows? I've not invented it. But the idea of inbound marketing, in contrast to outbound marketing, in terms of cold calling, in terms of cold outreach, cold call, paid advertising, in your face marketing, the idea of inbound marketing is you make yourself, your website attractive, and you work with that contact, with those individuals on the other side, until there is a transaction, a revenue transaction, a subscription, a purchase, a whatever that might be that your goal is. That is the purpose of inbound marketing, to drive and follow and guide the individuals along that journey to ultimately turn them into a customer, a subscriber, a client, whatever you want to call it, that your objective is. That's the target of inbound marketing. All right. And why does inbound marketing work? And we'll talk about how in a second. Why does inbound marketing work? Why does content marketing work? How many people pick up the phone when the phone rings and you do not know the phone number? When you have an 800 number call you, when you have an 866 number, when you have a no ID call you. I don't know too many people who still pick up the phone call. People just don't want to get marketed to. They don't want to get sold to. People want to explore themselves. People want to search, either in the search engine. They want to have referrals from friends. Hey, by the way, I've been in this event. That was cool. Hey, by the way, I've seen this. This might be of interest to you, right? That's the network you need to build up. That's the attraction you need to build. You need to get people come to you, as opposed to in your face, push. That would be the alternative, outbound marketing. And you can look up statistics pretty much everywhere. While there are places where outbound marketing, where outreach has its justification. But if you're only doing outbound, there's not too much you can gain in terms of ROI. It is the much less attractive alternative. Emanuel, you have a question.
Not a question, but a note by one of our participants, Kevin, and we'll have a chance to talk more about Kevin. Just an FYI, in regards to content marketing preceding computers, this post referenced The Furrow, a content marketing magazine started by John Deere in 1890s, 1890.
Here you go. They didn't have computers back then? I thought they did, but maybe not.
I think they were called, they were humans called computers.
Yeah, no, super good comment. So again, inbound marketing, maybe not as a term and maybe not as a technology, has been around for quite some time. Some claim it works in the dating process. We're not giving any dating advice tonight, neither before, during, or after the session, but there are very many similarities. There are very many similarities where you just don't do certain things on your first date. You don't discuss how joint retirement will look like, and on and on and on. You're trying to get a second date. Sorry, now I've been in dating advice. But marketing, content marketing, inbound marketing, very similar. You tell a story. You present yourself, you showcase results in case studies, in use cases, in comparisons, right? as opposed to push, always be closing. That's as old as the advice here from John Deere. But John Deere, that content marketing works. The always be closing. Many of you might have watched the movie The Boiler Room. Outdated. You do not sell that way anymore. Nobody buys that way anymore. So this is the, again, long-term effect of making yourself attractive, of building a foundation that that continues to attract traffic. And we'll go into a number of examples in a second where as you're building up your content foundation, you will see that this increases in an exponential way over time. Your following, your visitors on the website, if you do it right, and we'll talk about how we actually do it right. So again, how does it work? It works because you allow your target buyer personas, your prospects, you allow them to interact with you at their pace as opposed to your pace. And I need to pay bills by the end of the month, so you need to buy it now. Nobody cares. If there is no need on the other side, if that need is at a different urgency than your need to pay bills, that is not the buyer's concern, right? So, the downside, if you want, let's talk about that as well. The downside of content marketing, inbound marketing, it just takes a while, and it takes a long while. So if you think, oh, let me write a blog post and let me publish it on Wednesday next week, and by Thursday or Friday, revenue keeps trickling in, well, blog again the day after, the week after, the month after. If you look for results, unless you have unlimited money, and nobody does have that, unless you really go after it for weeks and months, you will not see significant revenue transaction. You might see earlier traffic and visitor transaction, but you will not see any significant revenue transaction in the first, I'm tempted to say 6 to 9 months. It depends a little bit on the industry you're in. Some are more competitive than others. But you need to give it the time, even if you're producing picture perfect content, even if you're producing picture perfect webinars, podcasts, whatever it is, it takes a while. There's a saying in a shared office space in Toronto, it took me 10 years to become an overnight success. It doesn't take 10 years, but it definitely takes more than 10 weeks to become the overnight success. And that's, I've been talking about outbound marketing. That is where, to a certain extent, you can and should supplement inbound and content marketing with paid advertisement, as an example, with paid social media activities, with paid retargeting activities to get people to come back to your website. Because as content marketing is slow in the early days of your initiative in terms of your activities, you need to keep the lights on. Many can't afford to blog for a year or two and wait till at some point maybe something comes in. You need to generate leads in the interim. So there are ways to find a good mix. The only problem is if you are completely on the other side, if you're completely doing PPC, if you're completely doing cold calls, the issue there is the very second you stop paying Google money for PPC, that very second, your traffic stops as well. So you haven't really built up anything of a foundation that keeps you alive in the long run. And on top of that, the more content you have, the more stories you can tell as you're building your journey. and as you're also doing outbound PPC, paid advertising as an example, the more content you have and the cooler your website looks, the more use cases you have, that increases your conversion rate. That increases the possibilities that you, in an email campaign, can link to case studies on your website, to examples, comparisons, and others on your website. That just makes you so much more attractive. That makes you attractive when you share links on whatever your social media platform of choice is, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on TikTok, whatever you might utilize. The more content you have in the appropriate forms, the better it is for your paid advertising activities as well. All right, cool. Again, you guys keep asking questions. So let's go into AI. Does it threaten content marketing? Very simple answer. Nope, it doesn't. Why is that? It is called AI. It's the intelligence. It's the processing of content. AI is, at this very stage, absolutely nothing without content, because it needs to have something to sink its teeth into. A search engine optimization, SEO, is nothing with content that it can optimize, because that's ultimately what people search for. People search for answers. People search for mind share, companionship, not in the dating sense, but in the business sense, people who speak the same language, businesses who also have the same problem I have. They need to generate leads, and they struggle with this, they struggle with that. You want to find that in search. And if there's nobody sharing that information, no search engine can search for something, no AI will be able to tell something. We'll come to the EAT and the experience portion in a second, but many searches and many pieces of content are a manifest, if you want, of experience that people search for. You don't have the experience. You were searching for that experience, that it helps you improve your business. AI makes you 10 times more effective in terms of searching it for it, in terms of generating and packaging some of that content. I mean, if you're not using, it's not a sales pitch, because I think it's as much of a sales pitch as you would tell somebody to use Google for email or Microsoft. If you're not using a Grammarly for content marketing, for content generation in terms of typos, in terms of grammar, right? And it's just the smallest portion of AI, but it's a super cool portion of AI. You're missing the boat. Emanuel, question you had.
You kind of like address it already. Being the host, I have the opportunity to interact and speak whenever I have a question or I want. But people, please do put in your questions in the chat and in the polls. I just wanted to make the note here that Google, the biggest search engine on the planet and one of the biggest companies, have been using AI for years and years for generating content. Not sure if anybody who's watching this have run a pay-per-click PPC campaign, but at one point you just simply plug in the URL and magically Google writes for you headlines, descriptions, call to actions, and suggests what pages to use as a landing page and all those things by simply plugging in the URL. So it's been there more than we have the capacity to understand.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Emanuel. So definitely make use of AI. AI is super helpful when it comes to sifting through many things. Summarize this blog post for me. Give me a digest of something else. All those things, super helpful in terms of using content as a consumer of content marketing. In the same way, it can be, and I'm coming to the last point here in a second, it can be super helpful also when you structure content, when you lay out content, when you do those things. But you just can't. I mean, you can, but it's lousy. AI is meanwhile better than terrible content marketers, but let's assume for a second we're not looking to compete with terrible content marketers. You can, in ChatGPT, in Bard, in whatever, in HubSpot AI, you can meanwhile give me a blog post on this subject, and boom, it spits it out. How does it do that? Well, it searches, it looks for information that's out there. It repackages it. It doesn't matter if you use some AI detector or not. It repackages it, and then you have a slightly repackaged piece of content. That's what a not so good content marketer does as well, but that doesn't necessarily make great content, and we'll come to great content in a second. Let me just see, there was a question out there. Let me see that I can answer it. So here's the question, let me read it. I have a question about lead magnets. It sounds similar to inbound marketing. Are there differences in attracting potential clients? So I'm tempted to say no, but I wish I would hear a little bit more what the person who asked the question, what their definition of lead magnet is. I mean, ultimately, again, a website is on the other side of a search. A website is looking to attract visitors. A website is looking to attract leads. So a website is a lead magnet. What's typically meant by, but again, curious to understand what the person who asked the question is understands by lead magnet. Typically, a lead magnet is intended to be a landing page that releases gated content where you give somebody an email address and you get content in exchange, and that drives leads into your CRM system. That's what's often meant by having a lead magnet. So a lead magnet, in that sense, if that's what was meant, is an element. They're an ebook or a workshop. Those are elements of inbound marketing. Lead magnets, to me, it has a little bit of a negative connotation, but in either case, you're trying to do as part of inbound marketing. You attract people to your website, you engage them, you interact with them, they give you their information in exchange of ebook, webinar, subscription, white paper, etc. If that's a lead magnet and inbound marketing or a lead magnet is a component of inbound marketing. It's part of the conversion from anonymous visitor to lead in the CRM system, or at least prospect. All right, cool. Let's look into what's next here. Was that the commercial break already? No, here is what's good content marketing. So what is good content marketing? And we'll look into examples in a second. Good content marketing, and at this very second, is hard to get vanilla out of AI, even with the best possible prompts. And you can ask it, meanwhile, some pretty cool questions. There's no doubt about it. So what's good content marketing? Good content marketing needs to be relevant to your target audience and the objectives that your target audience has. If that's not the case, there goes your bounce rate through the roof. People look at your blog post, people start the first 5 seconds of a webinar and said, oh, these clowns, I'm not staying on, because it's not relevant for them. You talk to people, you're too smart, you're not smart enough, and you will never get it right, but you will hopefully get it right for the right people on the other side that at some point say, hey, you know what? I want to work with that person who's written this blog post, who's written this study, this research, who has conducted this webinar. They understand what they're doing. It's relevant for me. And that's the trick of a content marketer, as one of many, is you need to be producing relevant content for your audience and for each stage of the buyer's journey. And we'll talk about the buyer's journey and the stages: awareness, consideration, and decision-making in a second. Relevant, important. It needs to be engaging. There needs to be something that encourages the person to take whatever next step you would like him to take. There needs to be a call to action. There needs to be a button that sends him somewhere else. There needs to be a link that says read more. There needs to be a button that says call me back. Those things, if it isn't engaging, if you just presented the coolest study in the world, the coolest piece of information there is, but there is no way to interact with that content, you've only accomplished, I don't know, a small fraction of what you should be accomplishing from a content marketing perspective, because that content is not engaging the person. If it's boring, even worse, then again, you might have lost that person once and for all. And it needs to be generating result. There is an Ahrefs video out there on YouTube. You search on YouTube for content is king, and you will hear, oh, everybody's saying content is king. The statement of that Ahrefs video, content is king, is nonsense. Content is not king. Your business is king, and content needs to serve the king to actually help the business. So content inbound marketing without results at the end, whatever you define as results. It doesn't mean that everybody has to buy something. It doesn't mean that everybody has to give you $10,000 or whatever funding you want. That is not necessarily the result. But the result, we talked about dating, the result of the first date is, I want to have a second date. That's the result. The result of a piece of content, I want that person to come back and consume a second piece of content. I want them to click on an email that I'm sending out tomorrow. I want them to do something along those lines. So content needs to generate results. Relevant, engaging, generating result. And it needs to do that for people you want to be interacting with. In the old days, you put into meta description of a content, you put in beach, girls in bikini, free, all those things, and people came to your website. So maybe it accomplished the mission in terms of attracting people, but you didn't attract people that had anything to do with your business. You flashed something in front of them to attract them, but not relevant for your target audience. So again, those things, relevant, engaging, generating results with your target audience, right? Let's talk about the buyer's journey real quick. So in terms of the step from anonymous visitor to your website who comes for the first time, and let's say at the end of the visit, at the end of many visits, is either a purchase in a B2C case, or I want to talk with a sales guy on the B2B side. Is that part in between is what's called the buyer's journey. So how do people come to websites? Very often, they might not even know about the subject. Oh, there's solar energy, and I can use solar energy to reduce my energy bill and reduce my dependency on fossil fuels. Cool. Oh, how does it work? What's a solar cell? What's this? What's that? What's a microinverter? What's a battery? How many do I need, right? The last question was already next stage. But there is the first stage is this awareness. my electricity bill is too high. Here's a couple of ways to reduce my electricity bill, right? Then you come back, you say, oh, that was pretty cool. And next week you're publishing something again. You come back and find out, oh, by the way, there's many alternatives. There is this, there's that. It costs this much. It's easy. It's cool. My neighbors have it, right? Any one of those things when you're in, then it's no longer the awareness stage where people becoming aware there is a solution to my problem. When there are many alternatives to consider, you're in the consideration stage. I can put solar cells on my roof. I can do this. I can do that. There's many options where I can do this. And then at some point you say, wow, that's pretty cool, but can I do this? And how do I do this? Can I do this myself? Do I need to have contractors to come in and put this on my roof? How expensive is the implementation? How long do those things last? What's the ROI? If I'm spending this much, when do I get my money back? Those stages that ultimately say, you know what? I'm about to make a decision. I want to have the final pieces of information. If you dangle that in front of somebody who's never heard of a certain technology, they will not consume it. It's too detailed. So you need to produce the content, the examples, the images, the videos to guide the person all the way from, hey, by the way, there's a solution for your problem to reduce your energy bill, all the way to it costs excuse me, it costs X money to implement the technology on my roof. I'm getting money back from the government, and on and on and on when you're in the last stages. So again, good content, relevant, engaging, generating results, relevant for your target audience for each stage of the buyer's journey. That's what makes the difference. And that's something you can't really at this stage with that relevance get from any AI system that's out there, simply because AI doesn't have the experience. It doesn't gain experience. You need to feed it the experience with your content, but AI per se doesn't implement solar cells, doesn't drive a car, doesn't know how hard it is to do certain things, right? Might this all be different in 100, 200 years? Maybe. Commercial break. Emanuel.
Yes, indeed, commercial break. We do have actually our guest here, but at the beginning of this webinar, I said SEO consists of means three pillars basically. Now, three legs, like a three-legged stool. One of them is content, the one that we are discussing right now. The other one is technical and user experience, and the other ones are backlinks. Backlinks are important, are essential for any solid SEO campaign. And our guest for the next webinar, which will happen, already, last Thursday of each month, which is November 30th from 7 p.m. EST, is a good dear friend, Kevin Carney. He's a community link building expert, and he'll be walking us through what links and backlinks are for those who don't know, and how we can get more of the good backlinks, because there's bad backlinks as well. That's a mouthful. So long story short, head over to howaboutsmarketing.com and you'll see a link where you can register for the next session, which will happen when? I know you know already, but let me repeat. Thursday, November 30th, starting 7 p.m. EST, right here on session. And howaboutsmarketing.com is the website you need to go to. Now, that's enough for our commercial break. Joachim, back to you.
All right. Let's go into the second half here. So let's talk about the complete puzzle, if you want, rather than an individual piece of content, an individual webinar, an individual video. Let's talk about Google EAT, or double EAT, as some call it, and see what this means and how you use it to really put your content marketing, whatever term you want to use, on steroids, or take it to the next level. And there is a good, strong portion of link building included as well. So we intuitively know that. And again, Google codified it with this EEAT. Good content, in addition to relevant, engaging, all those kind of things. How do you get there? You need to convey, and you can't just do this in one blog post anymore, in one video anymore, in one webinar anymore, is a group of a portfolio of content element pieces that cover an entire topic, where you, as a content marketer, as a company, radiate, we have the experience. Whenever you come to Emanuel, he's the guy for SEO. And not just because he talked about links one day, and then internal links, external links, et cetera, et cetera. He talks about how to optimize load speed. He talks about keywords, this and that, right? So you need to radiate and shine light on a topic, on a comprehensive topic or set of topics, a couple of different ways to showcase experience. Would you trust a 14-year-old speaker on wealth management, or would you rather go to Warren Buffett, who maybe has done it a couple of times before? Nothing wrong with a 14-year-old. They might be having a much higher IQ than Warren Buffett has, but they probably don't have the experience, right? You don't go to a 8-year-old dating coach. You just don't. I mean, if you do, good luck, and maybe share the experience in the session afterwards. So your content marketing should radiate experience. There should be expertise. Slightly different than experience. Expertise is, we have a certain knowledge. Now, 14-year-old can very well be super bright and smart in terms of setting up spreadsheets to track your investments, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe even better than Warren Buffett. But again, they wouldn't have the expertise, the experience. But expertise on top of experience, absolutely super worthwhile. And Google, when you look at, and the document 100, and I don't know, is it 172 or 176? One of those two. The Google Search Radar Guidelines, you can search for it. It is a document that goes into every conceivable detail, how to do many of those things. You want to showcase authoritativeness. You want to showcase that you've produced results with this. You know what you're talking about. You can articulate yourself properly, all those good things. And you want to show trustworthiness. You don't come across as I'm luring you into this session just to, in the next screen, ask for a $150 upgrade on getting more content. And before I get the real content, I'm not being asked to spend another $200 we've probably seen those schemes that people lure you into something. To me, personally, I'm not speaking about anything specific there, that radiates very little trustworthiness. Put the cards out on the table. We might be the most expensive ones to work with, but we're the best. I'm not talking about us. Be honest, be open, right? So, and key thing here is, and I'm showing an example here in a second, is it's no longer good enough to just have this one piece of content and assume it produces miracles. It won't happen. You need to cover an entire topic. You need to generate topic clusters where you have a pillar page that illustrates extensively, like an Encyclopedia Britannica, 10,000 words type of pages that talk about SEO, and not how good you are at SEO, but what is SEO? What is technical SEO? What is on page? What is off page? What is content? Blah, 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 SEO. And you want to describe every possible detail. Then you want to have 20 blog posts around it that talk about the history of SEO, the impact of SEO, 5 use cases and case studies of SEO, tools to use for SEO, and on and on and on. Once you put that in place, and I'm assuming our next speaker at the end of the month of November will probably talk about those things. Once you have topic clusters in place, or as you're putting that in place, you do this concurrently, you will be linking from your individual blog posts to a pillar page, and give that pillar page, whatever term you want to use, SEO juice, SEO weight, to make it rank high. An example, I don't know if I can pull it up here real quick. For those of you who are in marketing, let's search for Instagram marketing. Let's see what we find. Instagram marketing.
Link love. Link love. Let's call it link love.
You call it schmoozing with Google, call it whatever you want to call it. But so the idea is here, Instagram marketing as an example. Instagram marketing here, organic search number 1 is this article. Do this on your own computers and you will learn something. So you see the page Google Hubspot has built on Instagram marketing. When you scroll the page down here, and I don't know if you see the progress marker in the screen share, when you scroll down that page is endless. That page is endless. And when I'm looking at my little Ahrefs extension, that page has 10,618 words. That's quite a bit of content. And when you look at it, let's see how often HubSpot, as a software company who provides software to use with Instagram marketing, let's see how often HubSpot uses the term HubSpot here. So here they're using examples, right? So here, as an example here, the username is a name unique to your profile and allows you to and allows other accounts to engage with your brand. HubSpot's username is HubSpot. So 2 out of 13 are used up for an example. There is not a single sales pitch on this page. That's the idea of a pillar page that attracts traffic. And then HubSpot has built dozens and dozens of pieces of content around it. The history of Instagram marketing, the 15 tools to be used for Instagram marketing, how HubSpot compares with Hootsuite and 15 other tools out there. And all of those will have a link to this pillar page that says, by the way, if you want to know more about Instagram marketing, ba-boom, go to this page. Link love, exactly that, where you do something from an SEO perspective to suggest to Google or the other search engines that, by the way, we're linking to this page because it's relevant, but you're also structuring the content for the reader. It's interesting to find out more. It's interesting to dive deep where needed. So this topic cluster is where it's at, if I can use that terminology, from a content marketing perspective, where here you demonstrate you're more than just the one-time event, the one-trick pony who does, I know a little bit about Instagram marketing, but here is where the Warren Buffetts of the world, I mean, they don't need to do it with blog posts and content on the website. That's how, because they're getting published in the New York Times 15 times per day, and in Fortune, and on and on and on. That's how they're differentiating themselves from the 14-year-old who says, by the way, I have a trading software that can do that much better than Warren Buffett, right? So back to the topics here, right? Topic clusters, got to have those. Let's see where we're at here. Come in closer here. So 2 more pages, and then we should be almost through. So let's talk about how do you get results and what does good look like. So results and the type of content you use depends on your objectives, depends on the stage in the buyer's journey. The suggestion from having gained my gray hair is, I mentioned that example many times over, on your first date, don't talk about how cool it is to be married to you. It will not work unless you're Warren Buffett, then it will work. But keep working on the Warren Buffett part. So what's the objective of your content? It is, in many cases, have the reader come back and consume another piece of content. When we're doing marketing engagements and when we're looking at setting up CRMs and organizing CRMs, the idea is, let's identify what's the next piece of content for a name in the CRM. Where are they? Who are they? Right? And what is an appropriate next step that might be relevant for that person? That's what we're trying to present. So think about it that way. Give the person who just visited your website today, depending on what they might have visited, what is a reasonable next step? They've read this. What should they also be interested in? And see if you can position that in front of them. That's one thing. Define that. Otherwise, you're always in the fog. Second, sounds easy, endlessly hard. Get started. Get started today, like literally today. If you think you can make an impact, do one search and search for topic clusters. Do one search and search for, hey, by the way, how can I find something to define my buyer personas? Do something. Go to your website, subscribe to the Ahrefs webmaster tool. It's free. Run a content audit, and part of the content audit in Ahrefs, it's totally free. You get internal link building opportunities. It doesn't cost you anything. Go do it if you haven't done it yet. Measuring is important. Measuring are things like organic traffic. How do you increase your organic traffic? You can measure what happens before. How many impressions does my keyword get? How do my keywords rank? So define your system of metrics that are relevant to you. And ultimately, again, it needs to drive results. And if the result is revenue, track how many transactions come from content marketing, from inbound marketing, as opposed to a PPC campaign, if you're doing those, right? Measure it, set yourself targets, and then in terms of improving, one thing is to improve and be better than your competitors. Fine. Very tempting. Most people do it. Suggestion, as one of your competitors, define yourself from today. And how do you improve whatever target you're setting yourself, 5% over what we're doing today. And the next month, I want to have 5% more of whatever it is. More inbound traffic, more conversions. How do you do that? And have conversion opportunities. Don't just attract traffic. How do you have more downloadable content? How do you have more subscription opportunities? How do you have better subscription opportunities? How do you add more value to the customer? Last, the hardest part, because it's absolutely not only tempting, it is almost unavoidable to give up because it doesn't work. Content marketing doesn't work. We've done it for 3 weeks and it doesn't work. Oh, I heard that many times over. Keep doing it it does work. It does work if you keep pushing the being relevant to your users, writing not necessarily what you're excited about, but provide answers to what people are searching for. That over time will help you rank. That's the message. Keep doing it. How do you get started? Again, start today and not tomorrow. It is 10 times harder and takes 10 times longer than you planned, and you have to do 10 times more than you intend to do. Trust me on that. It is that way. Unless you're an eternal pessimist, I understand it. Pessimists are never being disappointed, so it's cool to be a pessimist, but not everybody is that way and should be that way. Content marketing is hard. It is endlessly hard. It requires more. Let's do one blog post per month. Sorry, forget it. It doesn't work. You need to produce 1 to 2, some industries even more, pieces of content, blog posts, webinars. Emanuel and I will be launching, I'll put you on the spot, and me, Emanuel, will be launching podcasts in November. We're still haggling over how many, and I've already kind of ground them down a little bit. You wanted to start daily podcasts. We're not doing daily podcasts, but those things take more time than intended. You're not doing it right the first time. It'll take a while to get it right, and it takes longer to get it right. So those are the key messages. But if you're not getting started, you're not ever finishing. So from my perspective, we got a minute or two for questions. Super big thank you. If you want to look up a couple of things we talked about, go to aspiration.marketing. You have my email there. You find me on LinkedIn. Reach out. Happy to be a sounding board. Happy to sprinkle to the extent possible some pixie dust. And again, all the best of luck with content marketing.
And I do encourage everyone to follow Joachim everywhere you can. On social media, I mean, of course. He does share relevant information. And as he said, you'll be hearing from him a lot on this channel, How About Some Marketing. So make sure you subscribe, you follow us on YouTube every day. Speaking of content marketing and daily marketing, I challenge myself for the month of October to produce one short form video each day. It's one short form video. The one I posted today, it's 30 seconds long, and it doesn't have anything fancy, anything Hollywood-like production, but it still takes a lot of time. So as Joachim said, be there. It works. If you don't believe Joachim, then maybe you believe me. It definitely works. I can tell you based on the responses I got from those videos that I've been pulling lately. So both of us highly encourage you to start producing content, and I'll let Joachim, pass it along. Joachim, answer the question that we have in the chat room.
I've seen it. Let me super quickly
also highlight how our mutual friend Alex Formosi said right at the beginning, whenever you start doing something.
Yeah, he has that beard and his wife beater and shorts on. He says, whatever you do at the beginning, you probably suck. And you do it some more times and you still suck, but hopefully less. And at some point, you stop to suck and you might actually get good, which is paraphrasing what I said earlier. It takes 10 times longer and it's 10 times harder. Let me answer one last question and then we're done. The question is, you mentioned paid advertising alongside content marketing. Can you share some tips or good approaches to integrate paid advertising into a content marketing strategy? That's subject for another session, but let me give you some highlights. The highlight is the way I would phrase or position the challenge. How much do I need of what? Take it from your targets, where you say, today, your company produces whatever it is, 100%, 100 number, doesn't matter what 100 is, 100 leads, 100 transactions, 100 whatever, right? In terms of your end final metrics. If tomorrow you want to go from 100 to 105, that's a different situation than going from 100 to 200 or 300, right? So understand what the growth target is. And then depending on how big it is and when you want to reach it, the bigger it is and the shorter the time frame, the more you need to resort to push content marketing, outbound, paid advertising, those type of things. Because again, content marketing, you will struggle unless you're a magician to get 200%, 300% growth in a sub-quarter time frame. It will not work unless you're starting with a blog that has one visitor and you get it to 3. I mean, I do that in a sleep. But in terms of overall numbers. So I would let drive business goals and time frame. I would let drive the mix of content marketing and outbound marketing. That's one thing. The other thing is, and I don't want to elaborate too much on it quite yet. If anybody has questions, I'm happy to follow up offline or we set up another session. Think about using paid advertising, not just from a perspective of sending traffic to a website, but use it for retargeting purposes, where you can get, comparatively speaking, comparatively to sending new traffic to a website, you get much better ROI when you target audiences that went to your website already, didn't convert on your landing page, and you retarget them on social media as an example, and ask them to come back to another page where they might be converting on. So retargeting is a super nifty and smart way with high ROI to integrate content marketing and paid advertising. I hope that answers it at least halfway. If there is more, reach out to me directly. Again, super thank you. You guys have a good night.
Thank you, Joachim, and thank you everyone who has been attending and watching this webinar. Last call, a reminder, howaboutsmarketing.com is the website that I'm building and at one point will launch soon. Over there, the most important newsletter action you can take is subscribe to the newsletter. You'll be hearing from us more moving forward, I promise, and see you